John Ritter was one of the most loved actors on television. He made people laugh with his energy, charm, and perfect timing. But behind his smile was a tragic story that very few people knew about. His death shocked the world, especially because it came so suddenly and so unexpectedly. What made it even more heartbreaking was that he died from the exact same condition that had killed his father years earlier. For 30 years, a silent danger was growing inside his body. Nobody noticed the signs, not his friends, not his doctors, not even John himself. On his last day, everyone saw that something was wrong, but nobody understood just how serious it was until it was too late. Even the doctors in the emergency room made a mistake that would cost him his life. Later, an autopsy revealed the real cause of death, and it was so shocking that it changed the way hospitals deal with chest pain forever. What happened to John was so serious that a $14 million settlement was made to acknowledge the failure in his care. John Ritter was born on September 17, 1948, in Burbank, California. He was delivered at Providence St. Joseph Medical Center, the very same hospital where he would die 54 years later. His father, Tex Ritter, was a famous singing cowboy known for his deep voice and classic Western songs. His mother, Dorothy Faye, was also an actress who starred in old Western films. From the moment he was born, John was surrounded by fame, lights, cameras, and big personalities. But being born into Hollywood royalty didn't mean his life was easy. In fact, it was filled with painful moments and difficult decisions that would shape who he became. When John was just a teenager, he experienced something that would stay with him for the rest of his life. He was in a car with friends when something, maybe a rock, maybe a piece of metal, came flying through the window and struck him in the right eye. It wasn't a small injury. It damaged both his iris and his retina. He lost most of the vision in that eye, and his pupil remained oddly shaped for the rest of his life. The injury made him feel insecure. He didn't talk about it much, but fans sometimes noticed the difference in his eyes during close-up shots on television. Even with this physical setback, John learned how to use his body and expressions in powerful ways on stage. He became more emotional, more aware of how to present himself. It was almost as if the injury gave him a new way of connecting with audiences. Even though both of his parents were actors, they didn't push John into show business. In fact, his father warned him to stay away from it. Tex Ritter had seen how hard the industry could be and wanted his son to choose a safer, more stable career, maybe in law or politics. John's mother felt the same way. They didn't stop him from acting, but they made it clear that it would be a rough road. At first, John listened. He studied psychology at the University of Southern California. He wanted to make his parents proud, but deep inside, he couldn't ignore the pull toward acting. Even in high school, John showed signs of being a natural leader. He was elected student body president at Hollywood High. He was smart, funny, and great with people. While he focused on his studies in college, he slowly started getting involved in school plays. His timing, humor, and charm made him stand out right away. Teachers and friends kept encouraging him to take acting seriously, but he was torn. He didn't want to disappoint his parents, and he wasn't sure if he was really good enough. Then something happened that changed everything, a simple event that would end up shaping his entire future. In 1966, John appeared on a popular game show called The Dating Game. He wasn't acting, he was just being himself. But his personality won over everyone watching. He won the episode, and the prize was a vacation to Lake Havasu. The prize didn't matter. What mattered was how John felt on stage. He realized that he loved being in front of an audience. That experience lit a fire inside him. Soon after, he switched his major to theater arts and began taking acting classes seriously. That one game show appearance started a domino effect that led him directly into the spotlight. Before John became famous in America, he spent time working on theater tours in Europe. Between 1968 and 1969, he traveled to England, Scotland, Holland, and Germany, performing in plays like Love Letters, The Glass Menagerie, and As You Like It. These weren't glamorous shows. He wasn't a star yet. But he learned discipline, hard work, and how to perform in front of different types of audiences. That time in Europe helped him grow in ways that would later make him one of the most versatile actors in television. He learned how to adjust his performance, how to stay calm on stage, and how to connect with people. But while John was building his career, tragedy struck. In 1974, while he was working on the TV series The Waltons, he got a phone call that would change his life. His father, Tex Ritter, had died suddenly at age 68, just one day after New Year's. John was devastated. His father was more than just a parent. He was his hero, his mentor, and the person he looked up to most. John had just started making a name for himself, and he wanted nothing more than to make his dad proud. Losing him so suddenly broke his heart. Even worse, the cause of death was believed to be an aortic dissection, a rare but deadly condition where the inner layer of the aorta tears. Decades later, John would die from the exact same condition. It was as if a silent genetic time bomb had been passed from father to son. John's career kept moving forward. He was cast in The Waltons as Reverend Matthew Fordwick. Originally, it was supposed to be just one episode. He wasn't a major character, but he brought warmth, humor, and real emotion to the role. Audiences loved him, and writers kept bringing him back. By the time he left the show in 1976, he had appeared in 18 episodes. That role helped him grow as an actor and gave him the freedom to audition for new and exciting parts. If he had been stuck in a contract, he might never have gotten the chance to audition for the show that would change his life forever. Before landing his big break, John appeared in several films and television shows. One of his early roles was in a Disney movie called The Barefoot Executive in 1971. He played a TV executive's nephew in a story about a chimpanzee that could pick hit TV shows. The movie was strange and didn't leave a big impact. After that, he took guest roles in shows like MAS*H, Kojak, and The Mary Tyler Moore Show. These roles didn't bring him fame, but they helped him improve his skills and build his confidence. Then came the audition that would change television history. In 1975, ABC wanted to adapt a British sitcom called Man about the house for American audiences. It became Three's Company. Over 50 actors auditioned for the role of Jack Tripper. One of them was a young Billy Crystal. But John Ritter had something special. He had the perfect mix of humor, timing, and physical comedy. He made the character come alive. The first version of the show was rejected. The cast was changed, the script was rewritten, and John had to fight hard to keep his role. When the final version came together, it was magic. The network was unsure at first. The idea of a man pretending to be gay so he could live with two single women seemed risky at the time. Jack Tripper had to lie to his landlord, Mr. Roper, to avoid getting kicked out of the apartment. Some people thought the show was too bold. Others thought it made fun of serious topics. But viewers loved it. When it premiered on March 15, 1977, it debuted at number 11 in the ratings and kept rising. The show didn't try to teach lessons. It focused on misunderstandings, physical comedy, and silly jokes. Feminist groups attacked it. Conservatives criticized it. But the audience couldn't get enough. Every controversy only made it more popular. Then in 1980, the show nearly fell apart. Suzanne Summers, who played Chrissy, wanted a big raise. She was making $30,000 per episode but demanded $150,000 and a share of the profits, matching what John Ritter earned. The producers said no. Her husband, who was also her manager, tried to push for more money, but ABC refused. Things got ugly. Suzanne stopped showing up to rehearsals. The network eventually fired her, but she was still required to finish the season. Her scenes were shot separately. She had no lines with the main cast. Each week, she appeared alone in short phone calls. She arrived on set with a bodyguard and a personal assistant. No one spoke to her. The silence lasted over 30 years. She and Joyce DeWitt finally reconciled on a talk show in 2012. By the early 1980s, Three's Company was everywhere. It was in the top 10, sold in syndication, and John Ritter was the face of it all. But being Jack Tripper came with a cost. John had trained in drama. He had range. But now, all people saw was the goofy guy falling over furniture. Directors didn't see John, they only saw Jack. He tried different roles, but the image stuck. In 1983, he finally got recognition. He won the Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Comedy. Then in 1984, he won the Emmy. It was a huge deal. Critics who had once mocked the show were now praising his talent. His speeches were humble, but his performance was masterful. He made physical comedy look easy. His timing was perfect. He earned his place among the greatest actors in television. In 1984, ABC tried to keep the magic alive with a new show called Three's a Crowd. It followed Jack Tripper in a new life. He was older, living with his girlfriend, and running a restaurant. But something was missing. The chemistry wasn't the same. The show also hurt the original cast. Joyce DeWitt wasn't even told about the new show. She walked in on auditions for Jack's new love interest. It hurt. Only one original cast member made a guest appearance. The show aired 22 episodes and was renewed for 13 more, but John asked for a full season guarantee. That's when everything changed, and soon, his life would take a tragic and final turn. ABC said no. The show quietly disappeared, and John Ritter's time as a big sitcom star seemed over. But he didn't give up. In 1987, he got another chance when he starred in a new show called Hooperman, created by Stephen Bocco. This show was different. Ritter played a police officer named Harry Hooperman who inherits an old, broken-down building. He had to deal with tenants, his job as a cop, and his personal life. The show was a mix of drama and comedy. Ritter gave a strong performance. Critics liked him. He was nominated for an Emmy and a Golden Globe, and he even won a People's Choice Award. But the ratings didn't stay strong. After 2 seasons, it ended. He was respected more as an actor now, but he was still stuck between being known for sitcoms and trying to prove he could handle serious roles. In 1990, he starred in Problem Child, a strange move for someone trying to be taken seriously. Ritter played a kind man who adopts a boy with terrible behavior. Critics hated it. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 0%. Some people said it was mean-spirited. A poster for the movie that showed a cat inside a dryer made animal rights groups very upset, even though the scene wasn't actually in the film. Still, audiences showed up. The movie made over $72 million on just an $11 million budget. Ritter came back for the sequel even though critics were still unimpressed. But something meaningful happened during that time. He met Amy Yasbeck, his co-star in the film. She would later become his wife. Though the Problem Child movies became cult favorites, they were not considered high points in his career. The humor was basic, but Ritter still gave his best. In 1992, he tried again with a show called Hearts of Fire. He played a conservative political aide who falls for a liberal journalist played by Markie Post. The show started in Washington, D.C., and had a good cast, including Billy Bob Thornton. But it didn't really connect with viewers. In Season 2, they changed the setting to a small town, hoping to bring new life to the series. It survived for 3 seasons, but the magic was missing. Audiences didn't follow, and Ritter was unable to recapture the level of success he once had with Three's Company. Then in 1996, something unexpected happened. Billy Bob Thornton gave him a role in the movie Sling Blade. Ritter played Vaughn, a quiet, kind, openly gay store manager who supports the main character. This was no comedy. It was serious drama. The film had a very small budget and was filmed in less than a month. Critics loved it. Ritter's performance surprised people. Behind the scenes, Ritter didn't like the haircut they gave him for the role, but it didn't affect his performance. Sling Blade went on to win an Oscar. And Ritter finally proved to everyone that he had real acting talent. John Ritter married actress Nancy Morgan in October 1977. That was also the same year Three's Company became a hit. From the outside, it looked like a perfect life. They had 3 children, Jason in 1980, Carly in 1982, and Tyler in 1985. For a while, things seemed happy. But being famous has a cost. By the late 1980s, problems in their marriage started to grow. The pressure of Hollywood, busy schedules, and living in the spotlight took a toll. In 1993, they separated. Their divorce was finalized in 1996. But it wasn't a dramatic, angry split. There were no tabloids, no scandals. They simply understood they couldn't keep going as a couple. Nancy supported John's career, and the kids stayed close to both parents. In a world where celebrity breakups often get messy, they stayed calm and respectful. While that chapter of his life was ending, a new one was starting. In 1990, on the set of Problem Child, Ritter met Amy Yasbeck. Their bond was strong from the beginning. During a casual meeting at the director's house, John noticed Amy hadn't eaten and handed her a bagel with cream cheese. It was a small act, but it sparked something meaningful. Over the next few months, they spent time working together, laughing, and building a connection. Amy later said John helped her learn physical comedy and that they both shared a love for old Hollywood films. Though John was still married at the time, his relationship with Nancy was already fading. After his divorce was finalized in 1996, he and Amy kept things quiet. They didn't rush. When they finally got married in 1999, 9 years after they met, it wasn't flashy or dramatic. It was thoughtful, real, and based on mutual respect. John's children were never just background in his life. They each went on their own paths. Jason became an actor, like his father. He appeared in shows like Parenthood and Raising Dion. He even earned Emmy nominations, showing his talent was his own. Carly took a different path. She became a folk singer and released her first album in 2013. Tyler avoided the spotlight for a while, even moving to Argentina to teach. But later he returned and acted in shows like Arrow and The McCarthys. Then there was Stella, born in 1998. Later, Stella transitioned and became Noah Lee Ritter. When Noah came out publicly at age 18 in 2016, it surprised many people. But his siblings supported him fully. They had all been through so much together: divorce, fame, loss, and personal growth. And they always stayed close. Each child carries a part of their father's legacy, his humor, his kindness, and his deep love for family. When John and Amy finally got married, it wasn't just a wedding. It was a fresh start. They got married on September 18, 1999, at the Murphy Theater in Wilmington, Ohio. The place was nearly 100 years old and full of charm and meaning. Their daughter Stella had been born a year earlier on September 11, 1998. So now there were 3 birthdays in 1 week: Stella's on the 11th, Amy's on the 12th, and John's on the 17th. Their wedding felt more like a celebration of love and life. It wasn't a big Hollywood party. It was close, meaningful, and filled with warmth. Amy said later that John's humor and kindness made the whole day feel magical. That old theater was more than just a venue. It represented second chances, the importance of timing, and what really matters when fame fades and only love remains. In 2016, Stella, now Noah Lee Ritter, shared her truth with the world. At age 18, she transitioned and started living as Noah. The news was a surprise to many, mostly because the family had kept a very low profile. But no one in the family hesitated. Amy stood by her son with love and pride. His siblings offered their support without a second thought. People who knew John Ritter all agreed that if he had been alive, he would have been one of Noah's strongest supporters. Today, Noah is 25 and living a quiet life in Los Angeles. He's not chasing fame. He's just being himself, which in a town like Hollywood is one of the bravest things a person can do. 1 year before he died, John Ritter was on top again. In September 2002, he returned to TV with 8 Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter. Some people thought he was too old to make a comeback. They were wrong. Audiences loved him as Paul Hennessy, the overprotective dad trying to deal with his teenage kids. The show had both comedy and emotion, and Ritter made it feel natural. In 2003, it won the People's Choice Award for Best New Comedy. Ritter was back, but this time it was different. He wasn't just funny. He was wise, experienced, and full of heart. Families across America and Europe watched the show every week. It didn't just make people laugh, it made them feel. But behind the scenes, something was wrong. On the morning of September 11, 2003, Ritter was on set, joking with guest star Henry Winkler. He was cheerful and full of energy. No one could tell anything was wrong. But later that day, he started sweating and turned pale. He felt pain in his chest and looked unwell. Still, he tried to keep going. That was just who he was. But his symptoms, nausea, chest pain, dizziness, were serious. Everyone thought he was having a heart attack. But it wasn't. It was something much rarer and deadlier, an aortic dissection. It's a tear in the major artery coming from the heart. It's often misdiagnosed, and that's what happened here. Doctors at Providence St. Joseph Medical Center thought it was a heart attack. They gave him treatment meant for that. It was the wrong treatment. It made things worse. Around 6 p.m., Ritter collapsed in his dressing room. Panic spread quickly. Actress Kaylee Cuoco, who played his daughter, said it was pure chaos. He was unconscious. People rushed to help. An ambulance was called. The hospital was just across the street. Strangely, it was the same hospital where he had been born 54 years earlier. On the way to the hospital, Ritter made one last phone call. He called Amy Yasbeck. He told her, "I'm going to the hospital. I love you." Those were his final words to her. At the hospital, doctors continued treating him for a heart attack. They skipped a chest X-ray that might have revealed the real problem. He was given blood thinners, which are dangerous for aortic dissections. Ritter asked for a second opinion, but the doctors said there wasn't time. Amy told him to trust them. He nodded as they took him to surgery. What surgeons found was horrifying. His aorta wasn't just torn, it was shredded. The damage was too much. The earlier treatment had made it worse. He died that night. At exactly 10:48 p.m., John Ritter was pronounced dead. He was just 6 days away from turning 55. His sudden death shocked Hollywood, devastated his family, and broke the hearts of fans everywhere. Amy Yasbeck was heartbroken, but she didn't stop. She filed a $67 million lawsuit, saying the hospital and 2 doctors failed to diagnose John correctly. The lawsuit was based on what he could have earned if he had lived. One test, one correct diagnosis, might have saved him. The chest X-ray had been ordered. It was never done. Before the trial began, the hospital and 8 other medical professionals settled for $14 million. The hospital paid the largest part. But Amy wanted justice. The trial began and lasted a month. It was painful and emotional. Many people testified. In 2008, the jury cleared both doctors. Most believed they did their best. Some experts said Ritter would have died anyway because of how rare and severe the condition was. Amy was heartbroken again. But she didn't give up. She created the John Ritter Foundation for Aortic Health. Its mission is to save lives through awareness and education. They introduced the Ritter Rules, easy steps to help spot aortic dissection early. One important fact they share is that for every hour treatment is delayed, the chance of death increases by 1%. Thanks to their work, lives have been saved. Even John's brother, Tom Ritter, learned he had the same condition and got treatment in time. The foundation has raised millions of dollars, hosted events, and brought together survivors, doctors, and supporters. What started as a personal tragedy became a movement of hope. John Ritter's death wasn't just a loss. It became a wake-up call. A reminder that life is fragile. A warning that even good doctors can make mistakes. And above all, a legacy that lives on in laughter, in family, and in the lives that continue to be saved today.